to discuss a very important topic, and it's related to a question that I'm receiving very often, and that is related to the consumption of nuts. And many people believe that nuts are responsible for weight gain, and so many shy away from eating nuts, and I can tell you that quite the opposite is true. That not eating nuts will most likely cause you to gain weight, while eating nuts will cause you to lose weight. And the loss of weight is quite a natural one, because there are many wonderful things in nuts that your body requires, and therefore the body doesn't have to hold on to waste matter and nutrients in order to save itself. So the consumption of regular consumption of nuts is something that I wholeheartedly recommend for most people, for almost everyone. And there's a study that was released quite recently, that was done on 13,000 Americans, and it was published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition. And it found that people who were consuming nuts on a regular basis had a 62% reduction in their weight, and they had a 50% reduced circumference, waist circumference, and they also had a 56% reduction in body fat. They also found that their risk for heart disease, cancer, and metabolic syndrome, which includes diabetes, was dramatically lower. So if you really want to use sort of an ideal food to prevent these illnesses, and to also reduce the risk of furthering those illnesses in your life, then I would recommend that you do take recourse to eating nuts. And some of the best nuts that I recommend are almonds. Almonds is considered in Ayurvedic medicine to be the king of nuts, or the queen of nuts, if you will, and it is followed by walnuts. Walnuts are extremely rich in nutrients. They are also particularly good for the brain and nervous system. If you open a walnut and you don't damage it, you will see that it will look like almost like a brain. It looks like the size, the brain with its two brain halves, and the lower lobes and the back lobes. So you will see that the walnuts actually, and there are studies to prove that, have excellent benefits for memory recall, concentration ability, and also for the cardiovascular system. All nuts benefit because of their high amounts of very useful fats, the omega-3 fats. They help with the circulatory system, and they contain a lot of, some of them have dozens of minerals and vitamins in them that are left intact, that are not damaged, unless of course the nuts are treated or pasteurized, like almonds, to a large extent. So you will have to do your own research, finding nuts that are not treated, gassed, or heated in some ways, like almonds in California. So it is a very, very useful addition to your diet. I would recommend to eat some of them each day. I personally eat 4, 5, 6 whole walnuts each day, and every other day I have some almonds, maybe 6 or 10, 12 almonds. That is sufficient. You don't have to eat a lot of these foods. I eat them with my meals. It's easier to digest than having extra snacks which require the secretion of hydrochloric acid, and you don't want to constantly snack on them and to secrete hydrochloric acid, because that weakens your digestion in the long term. You want to allow the stomach to be empty before introducing foods that require hydrochloric acid, and all nuts do require hydrochloric acid because of their content of amino acids, proteins. So the benefit for the weight loss are very substantial, and people who are concerned about putting on weight, eating nuts, they should not. It's a misconception that fats make you fat. There's a profound understanding why the nuts are so beneficial in with regard to liver health, because there's a high amount of fat in walnuts and almonds, pecans, and other nuts that are like Brazil nuts and cashews, which trigger the release of bile from the liver and gallbladder, which helps with the digestion of these foods. And we need fats to digest proteins, we need fats to digest carbohydrates, we need fats to digest and assimilate and utilize minerals like calcium. So if we look for higher nutrient absorption, then eating nuts with your meal, adding them to rice and vegetables or salads is a very, very good thing to do, so that you will have a higher secretion of bile to help you to digest these foods properly, and that will allow you to increase your metabolic rate and will also improve the absorption of healthy fats, which are very useful for your cardiovascular system and for your brain. And so it's very good to know that nuts are actually a safe food and a necessary food. Nuts have been consumed by animals and humans alike for millions of years on this planet, and they should not be vilified by some people who are scared of fats because they cannot digest fats. If you have problems digesting nuts, it is more likely because your bile ducts in the liver are clogged up with intrahepatic gallstones, and in that case I would recommend that you do a series of liver and gallbladder flushes to help you improve the digestion of fats and proteins, so that these foods become beneficial for you and they are not just discarded as waste matter in the body, and so that you derive the maximum benefit from eating these very, very precious foods that otherwise may not be beneficial to you, of course, if you don't digest them. So having said this, enjoy your nuts. I would recommend to soak nuts, particularly almonds and some other harder nuts, before you consume them. You can soak them overnight, or at least for a couple of hours. This makes them less dense and more digestible, so you can derive more benefits from them. But if you chew them well, if you masticate them well, then you can also do without the soaking, and you have to go by your gut feeling. If you know that you can digest them well, you don't need to soak them beforehand. So I hope this is useful information to you, and enjoy your nuts. Garlic burns. It literally can burn little holes through the lining of the intestines. It can certainly penetrate the mucus lining and make its way through into the intestinal wall, where